Assalamu alaikum dear students. I welcome you all in my next class, but this class will be dedicated for 12th standard. Here we will be dealing with testicles, or you may call them testes. Till now we have completed our basic introduction to a human reproductive system, as well as we have completed the part 1 of human male reproductive system, in which we discussed something called scrotum. Right now, the topic of concern will be human testicles or male testicles. You people are fully aware that testes are actually the primary sex organs. They are actually the primary sex organs, and they have two roles to play. The first role of testicles is gametogenesis or spermatogenesis, sperm formation, and the second role of testicles is production of something very special signaling molecules. Those are known as hormones. As far as class 12th is concerned, in class 12th we have to deal with microscopic anatomy of testes. But first of all, let me clear some basic things about human testicles. You all know that testes are, in case of humans, located in a special structure or special sac-like structure or special pouch. This pouch is known as something called scrotum. Here are the pair of testicles. Okay. And you also know that testicles are usually formed. Let me make one thing clear first of all. Testes are usually mesodermal in origin. Testes are formed from mesoderm. You have studied in class 11th something called diploblastic animals and triploblastic animals. In case of triploblastic animals, the gastrula had three germ layers. First you call ectoderm, second you call mesoderm, and third you call endoderm. One special structure, that is mesoderm. From this mesoderm, testicles are formed. Actually, what happens is that from mesoderm, special structures called genital ridges, that we have to discuss later. Genital ridges are formed. From testicles, from mesoderm, genital ridges are formed, and from these genital ridges, these male gonads, or you call testes, are formed. So these testes are usually formed in the abdominal cavity. This also you know, testes are usually formed in abdominal cavity, and in the 7th month or in the 3rd trimester, it is these testicles that then descend into the respective scrotal sac through a special passage. That special passage you call inguinal canal. Okay, now the first point. As far as the morphology of testes is concerned, testicles are usually oval. Testicles are pinkish. Testicles are smooth structures. As far as the dimensions of testicles are concerned, each testicle is 4 to 5 centimeters long. Each testicle is approximately 2.5 centimeter wide, and each testicle is approximately 3 centimeter thick. Now, the next point is like that. Testicles are actually hanging in the scrotum. Testicles are usually hanging in a scrotum by a special cord-like structure. By a special cord-like structure, this cord is known as spermatic cord. This cord is known as spermatic cord. Spermatic cord is also known as, we have to deal with spermatic cord right now in a minute. This spermatic cord is also known as supporting structure of male reproductive system. It is known as supporting structure of male reproductive system. Supporting structure of male reproductive system. Each testicle weighs approximately 14 to 15 grams, or roughly both the testicles have average weight of 25 to 28 grams. This is the basic logical information about the testicles. Now, I said that testicles are hanging actually in the scrotum by a cord-like structure. This cord is called spermatic cord. As far as this cord is concerned, this cord contains, if we will analyze this cord contains testicular arteries, that drains the testes or that brings blood to the testicles, oxygenated blood. This spermatic cord is actually made of testicular arteries as well as testicular vein or testicular veins. These testicular veins perform two functions. They drain out the oxygenated blood from the testicles. At the same time, these testicles are responsible for spermatogenesis. These testicles are also responsible for formation of hormones. These hormones are also taken out from the testicles. These hormones are also taken out from the testicles via this testicular vein. The spermatic cord is composed of testicular arteries, testicular veins, as well as special type. This testicular vein is composed of special types of muscles. These muscles are known as cremaster muscles. This cord is composed of special muscles, and these muscles you call cremaster muscles. Cremaster muscles. Not only cremaster muscles, this spermatic cord is composed of lymph vessels, lymphatic vessels. This spermatic cord is also composed of nerves, or you call neurons, and all these structures, I mean testicular veins, testicular arteries, lymphatic vessels, cremaster muscles, as well as the nerves, all these structures are surrounded by connective tissue sheath, connective tissue coating. All these structures are surrounded by connective tissue sheath. Now, the first point what you learned right now is that there are present a pair of testicles approximately weighing 28 grams or 25 to 28 grams, and these testicles are hanging in the scrotal sacs, respective scrotal sacs. Scrotum we have discussed in our previous lecture. By a special cord-like structure, this cord-like structure is called spermatic cord. This spermatic cord is known as supporting structure of male reproductive system. This spermatic cord is usually made of testicular arteries that bring oxygenated blood, testicular veins that take back the oxygenated blood, as well as hormones. It is also made of lymph vessels that take the interstitial fluid or extra fluid out from the testes. It also contains, this spermatic cord also contains neurons or nerves. This cord also contains cremaster muscles. This cord also contains a connective tissue sheath. You have studied connective tissue covering. You have studied connective tissue in class 11. Now, next point. Network of arteries, network of capillaries, network of arteries, network of capillaries, network of veins that drain the testes. I mean to say that bring the oxygenated blood for the testicles, as well as take the deoxygenated blood and hormones away from the testicles. This network of blood vessels, that drain the testes and take back deoxygenated blood and oxygen is known as, this network is known as pampiniform plaques. You should remember this concept. Pampiniform plaques. Pampiniform plaques. When I say plaques, P-L-E-X-U-S. Pampiniform plaques. It is a network of capillaries, arteries, veins, lymph vessels that drain the testicles and take deoxygenated blood as well as hormones away from the testicles. This is the first point. Now, point number second. As far as each testicle is concerned, each testicle actually contains attached comma-like structure. This comma-like structure is known as epididymis. You have studied it. No, we have studied it in later classes, but you know this structure, this comma-like structure attached with each testicle is known as epididymis. So I should write here it is epididymis. Epididymis. Now, each testicle is surrounded by three coverings, three protective coverings. हर किसी टेस्टिकल के साथ अटैच्ड होते हैं three special coatings or three special coverings, and all the three coverings are collectively known as tunica coatings or simply tunica. All the three coverings of testicles are usually known as tunica. I said there are three coverings. Here I am going to draw the outermost covering. In the blue color. This is the outermost covering. Outermost covering is actually known as tunica vaginalis. This covering surrounds the testicle partly, not fully. This covering surrounds the testicle in the major portion except at the region where epididymis is present. Epididymis is a special structure attached with each testicle. This tunica vaginalis is actually a tubulosecular, tube-like and sac-like. So I said tubulosecular, sac and tube, tubulosecular covering. And in this covering, in this sac-like structure, in this tube-like structure, there is a space, internal space. This space is known as vaginal sac. This space is known as vaginal sac. Vaginal sac is actually a space enclosed by the outermost covering of the testicle. Vaginal sac is actually a space, khali jai, enclosed around tunica vaginalis. Tunica vaginalis के अंदर खाली जगह है, that you call vaginal sac. This vaginal sac is filled with by a fluid. This vaginal sac is filled by a fluid. That fluid is known as coelomic fluid. That fluid is known as coelomic fluid, and it is this coelomic fluid that allows the frictionless movement of the testicle in the scrotum. Scrotum and frictionless movement of the testicle, because it is this covering, it is this tubulosecular covering that you call tunica vaginalis, that acts as a soft cushion, for each testicle. And simultaneously I want to say that testicle undergoes frictionless movement due to this covering called tunica vaginalis. This tunica vaginalis is filled with a fluid that is called coelomic fluid. This coelomic fluid acts as soft cushion for frictionless movement. And this empty space here, this space, this fluid space is known as vaginal sac. Okay, this is the outermost covering. This is the outermost covering. First covering. I said each testicle is surrounded by 3 coverings. The second covering, highlighted in this black color, this covering. The second covering encloses the whole testicle or surrounds the whole testicle approximately. Not at this region actually. But you should remember the second covering encloses maximum or surrounds maximum portion of each testicle. This second covering is known as tunica albuginea. Tunica albuginea. This is the second covering of testicle. Tunica albuginea. This tunica albuginea is actually made of tough, hard collagen threads, collagen fibers. So should I say that this covering that you call tunica vagina, that you call tunica albuginea, the second covering, it is this second covering that maintains the shape of testicle. That maintains the shape of testicle. Why it maintains the shape of testicle? Because this covering called tunica albuginea is made of white fibrous connective tissue. It is made of white fibrous connective tissue. White fibrous connective tissue as studied in 11th. White fibrous connective tissue is that type of connective tissue which is rich in collagen proteins or collagen fibers. So it is tough covering. So the tough covering of the testicle maintains the proper shape of the testicle. Now, this is the first covering, this is the second covering. Inner to the second covering, there is the third covering and the last covering, this. This third covering. Actually, the third covering is known as tunica vasculosa. It is this third covering of testicle that is made of loose connective tissue. That is made of loose connective tissue. In class 11th, you have studied something called loose connective tissue and fibrous connective tissue or dense connective tissue. Loose is opposite dense connective tissue. The innermost covering of each testicle, innermost covering is known as tunica vasculosa. This tunica vasculosa is rich in blood capillaries and neurons. This innermost covering is rich in blood vessels, or this tunica vasculosa is rich in blood capillaries. Not only blood capillaries, it also contains neurons. Till now we have studied that in human male testicles, they are hanging in the scrotum. Simultaneously, each testicle is hanged by a cord-like structure called spermatic cord that we have discussed. Spermatic cord contains blood vessels, arteries, veins, muscles, cremaster muscles. उसके बाद हमने second point पढ़ा कि each testicle in males is surrounded by 3 protective coverings. These 3 protective coverings are collectively known as tunica coatings or tunica. The outermost covering is known as tunica vaginalis. It is this tunica vaginalis that is actually tubulosaccular, tube-like or sac-like covering. That sacculated covering contains the inner space that is called a vaginal sac. It is this vaginal sac that contains coelomic fluid. That coelomic fluid allows the frictionless movement of the testicles in the scrotum. The second covering is known as tunica albuginea. It is made of tough fibrous connective tissue that maintains the proper shape of the testicles. And the third covering is known as tunica vasculosa. It is this tunica vasculosa that is actually made of loose connective tissue, and it is this tunica vasculosa that is the innermost layer, and that is rich in blood capillaries and neurons. Now we will dissect the testicle. Now we are going to dissect the testicle and study the microscopic anatomy. Now we are going to dissect the testicle and study the microscopic anatomy of the testes. What is actually present inside the testes. But that will be discussed in the next lecture. Till then, do share and subscribe the channel. Allah Hafiz.